Yeah. Hello, everyone. So this is Deepthi here. In our previous classes, we have understood about the CMA syllabus, CMA exam pattern, and how to approach to crack these theory subjects. So today, let's begin with our industrial or labor laws. You can call them as industrial laws or even labor laws too. So in this labor laws, as I told you how many acts have been present. Yeah. So Factories Act, first one, Payment of Gratuity Act, Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act, Employee State Insurance Act, Code on Wages, 2019. So these all five acts has been present in industrial or labor laws. Let's move on and understand first act, which is Factories Act 1948. Okay, so this is one of the primary act, and basically, when you try to understand labor laws, this is the first time you are understanding about the labor laws, right? So before we begin this labor laws, let me give you an introduction or some kind of awareness related to these labor laws. So basically, labor laws will be implemented for the welfare of the labor or the workers. So out of that, Factories Act is a major one. Factories Act is one of the major one which is involved in this labor laws for the protection of the workers. And what is the purpose? See, there has been a problem arrived, and for that problem, a solution must be given by the government. See, what is a problem and what is a solution? Let's understand this. Before, when we don't have these legislations, laws, rules, and etc., how people used to work, how the working environment is allocated, or how people used to work in those conditions. So, when we try to understand that scenario, there were no such what do you say, right now we do have many other categories, many other industries, many other religions, right? But in those days when we don't have these all into the picture, no law, no rules, no regulations, only two categories. One is owner, the other one is the servant. Okay, people who are rich and who have influences, they used to be the owners, and people who are poor and they work under some management, those are considered as servants. So for example, owner has established a factory, okay, and he will employ employees for working in that factory. So how they used to treat them, he owner used to treat them literally as slaves. The other name for servant is nothing but slaves, right? So here, the old scenario was something like this: owner, servant, and owner used to treat these people as slaves. Whoever comes to the work, they used to work for around like longer hours. They don't even have particular fixed hours. Right now, we have fixed hours, right? For every employee, for every worker, we have fixed some sort of hours. That's nothing but 8 hours per day, 7 hours per day, or depending on the consequence, depending on the circumstance, we change the time period, we change the duration of the day, right? But in those days, they used to work for longer hours. Sometimes they used to work for 24 by 7, and no one used to care for them. No one used to take care about them. No canteens, no food, no washrooms, and most importantly, women employees are also recruited for working in those conditions. So, don't you think women are employed in such working conditions and there are no proper sanitary facilities? Sanitary facilities means, for example, simple, basic washrooms are not provided. There will be only one washroom, and that one washroom is used by male and female employees together. So, how does it feel for the female employees to work in such environment? So, don't you think there must be some legislation or a law where it can protect the rights of these people, the rights of the workers. Okay, so now we tend to call these servants or slaves as workers. So from now on, I'll just refer them as workers. So workers used to work in such worst conditions where no one used to take care or no one used to fight for their rights. So for that reason, to solve such a problem, we have implemented Factories Act 1948. See, in 1881, like there are certain series of years where we had these Factories Act before, but due to some disqualities or disabilities, we have just amended those acts, and at last we have formed Factories Act 1948. This Factories Act 1948 is the consolidation of all the other acts. I mean, consolidation in the sense mixing up all the previous acts, and it has been amended with certain provisions. By the name itself, you can understand that Factories Act 1948 applicable to the all factories. So in factories, who will be working? Of course, workers will be working in those factories. Am I correct? Yeah. So don't you think? Okay, I'll tell you another purpose also. Workers will be working in a factory, and they have to work in such an environment, like in such an environment where dangerous process will be taken care of, where dangerous process will be dangerous process are created or involved in that working procedure. So workers will be working in that such environment and working with such work hazardous or dangerous equipments. So don't you think there certain proper care must be taken for workers' safety and for their health, right? See, apart from taking care of their working conditions, we have to take care of their health and safety also. Why health and safety? They'll be working in dangerous conditions. So their health will be injured or their health will be affected. And sometimes safety precautions must also be taken while working on such dangerous machinery. So these all precautions, these all safety measures, these all working conditions must be regulated. Who has the obligations for creating all those health measures, safety measures, or working conditions? Nothing but owner. I was telling you that there were only two categories in previous days when we don't have this legislation: owner and servant. Nowadays, I'm calling them as right now, I'm referring them as owner, worker, owner and worker. So I have a name for owner too, but for before I get into those terms, let's refer him as just as an owner. Okay, so owner, worker. Who has the responsibility, who has the obligation of creating all those health measures, safety measures, providing proper working environment, providing proper working conditions? None other than owner. Okay, I will call him as an occupier. Who is occupier? We will refer in further definitions. Okay? So who is owner? Occupier. So this occupier is the person who has sole responsibility of making all these things done. What does Factory Acts do? Factories Act impose certain obligations on the occupier to provide all these measures, right? So this is the simple history of the Factories Act 1948. Now I feel like you understood the purpose of implementing this Factories Act 1948, right?